Pumped up. We're sending it, man. We're so pumped up this morning. We're going live. We are 15 seconds early, which is a good thing. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Caliber Corner. We have episode number 141 today, and we're going to kind of dabble back in the whole Millsip arena, but we're going to focus on the 6.5 Carcano round and rifle. And before we do that, let's go ahead and let the panel go and introduce themselves. We're also going to talk about the 410 shotshell, the application of the 410 and its various platforms and different types of loads that are available for 410, which is a great round also. It's a great sporting round. But before we do that, let's go ahead and let everybody introduce themselves. So on my right, we've got Rich White. Rich, what do you know, man?
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Doing good, doing good. So you got a show coming up this weekend or what?
Yeah. If everything goes right, the way I've been sleeping, who the hell knows at this point?
Can you give us a little teaser on what the topic's going to be?
Nope, because I don't know.
Oh, that's the genius at work right there. We have this muse that inspires us that morning. That or we panic because we don't know what our topic's going to be for the day.
That inspires us that morning, man. There's days I don't know what I'm talking about until we go live.
Oh man, you know what? Hey man, been there, done that. You got to do a giveaway, and then you have people suggest topics, and then you just got a countless number of subjects you can talk about. Yeah. So that's the key right there.
First, I got to get sponsors like Ghost, or have enough money to be able to buy something to give away.
There you go. Well, just find something sitting around. Sure, you have a pocket knife or a sticker or a patch sitting around that you can throw out there. You know. Yeah. Anyway, so Rich, what time is your show for those people that want to check it out?
Somewhere between 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern usually, because there's other people running shows and stuff, and I don't want to infringe on their rights. And sometimes some of the panelists will be over on one of those other shows, like Kingpin. When he shows up on my show, he's usually on the Scotsman show before that. So I want to give them time to, do their thing before, and, not take away from them and stuff, because Scotsman's got a good show.
Oh, yeah.
And congratulations again to him for citizenship.
Is he changing the name of the show from Foreign and Domestic to just Domestic and Domestic, or Domestic Square, or is he changing the name of the show?
They were debating that last week. I don't know if they ever came to a consensus. I had to leave before the show was over.
What's cool is he could keep it at Foreign Domestic because it's kind of bringing his perspective of somebody that's come from someplace else. So you could have another person's, kind of set of ideas or thoughts on things, which is pretty cool. But yeah. Again, congratulations to Crazy Scotsman on his citizenship. He is good to go. And and you check out the Crazy Scotsman channel. He's got a lot of good content on there. Yeah. Yeah,
and he's a real good guy too. I mean, all the work he does for helping people in the community and stuff when they're down and having issues. If you got Scotsman in your corner, you got a true friend there.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. I mean, he did a lot of stuff for Mr. Holster when the family was going through problems.
Yeah, Mr. Holster, USAF.
Yep.
Who else? C-Max. And then there was another guy whose name right now is slipping my mind. I mean, he's done a lot for a lot of people. It's just insane the work he does. And then a couple weeks ago on their show, the guys that jump on his panel gave back to him, and they gave him a gift card to his local gun shop, $1,100 gift card.
Oh wow, dude! And I mean that. And again, for people watching this, you might not realize, even though we're all in different places, literally all around the world, or different places all across this country, we're still a community. We're like-minded individuals. We still have the same ideals. Many times, we still have the same kind of goals. We're all fans of firearms, right? So if something happens, we try to look out for each other. As much as we can, which is a good thing. So a lot of guys don't realize that. We just don't pop up here. A lot of us chat with each other all the time on the side. We text each other. We meet up at places when we can. And so it's a good thing. It's a really good thing to be part of this community. So anybody who's a new viewer this morning, welcome. Okay, let's continue with the introduction. So Squibload is over there. Squib, you changed out your little avatar image.
Well, I'm on StreamYard on my PC. So, yeah.
Is this a first? Is this the
first time on StreamYard on anything other than my phone? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. What do you think about it? Is it working good for you?
Well, my headset isn't overheating the way my phone does. I
was gonna say your phone goes to near meltdown status every time you jump on StreamYard.
Oh my goodness!
The god awful programming in the program for StreamYard. StreamYard Mobile, guys. It's if you want to heat up a Pop-Tart, just set your phone down and put your Pop-Tart on top of it.
I've literally been on the front deck with a cold bottle of water up against the back of my phone, to keep it from shutting off.
You need to get like 100-foot headphone cable, so in the wintertime you just set it out on the porch in the middle of winter. It'll be like super easy steam coming off of it, stuff.
Yeah, and then he needs to get one of those little cell phone tripods.
Yeah, there you go. Get a fan that attaches to the back of it with a little battery pack to run it. So that's something that doesn't exist. Your phone cooler, like they got little personal coolers you can wear around your neck. But
what I'm going to say is, if the other apps don't cause the phone to overheat, then there must be a way to do this where you can stream video and put it on YouTube and Facebook and all the other garbage without, so whatever they have to put in their code, just get on that, guys.
Yeah,
and he doesn't need a phone that attaches. I mean, a fan that attaches back to the phone. He needs one of those little desk fans.
Yep.
I used to have one of those set up blowing air into an old Dell desktop to keep the thing cool.
I'm gonna walk,
dude. Stupid story. This has nothing to do with guns, but when I was in college, the cooling fan went out in my laptop. And laptops were super expensive back in the mid-90s, okay? So I actually took the cooling fan out, snipped it, and when I was in college, I had a little Radio Shack fan that was wired to a wall plug, and it was a little PC fan with a wall plug, and I had it on a note card. And it was like I had it sticky tacked to a note card. So when I'd go set up my laptop, I'd set my laptop down, I'd put the note card underneath my laptop with a little fan blowing air on the side of it, and I'd go plug it into the wall. And you had to anyway, because laptop batteries back in the day would last like an hour and a half or 2 hours. And so I would have that little setup. It was so janky, it was terrible. I mean, it was, but it worked. I mean,
my sister-in-law, when like the kids were younger, gave them their old Dell and had the old passive heatsink on there. So the thing would start overheating all the time if they were like playing games or something. I cut out the circle where it said Dell on the side of the case.
Yeah,
and put a desk fan blowing in that hole.
Dude, that is awesome. Active cooling system. There you go. Oh my God, I love old computers, man. I swear to God, they're anything more than checking AOL, they would just freak out. Hey, let's continue with the introductions here. So, Squib, is there anything you want to say before we move on over to Calaveras?
Yeah, on your show on Monday, I'd mentioned that on the Arizona Ghost Riders channel, this night they're going to do a live stream from Trail Dust Town, and it's to raise money to keep the Wild West Stunt Show at Trail Dust Town up and running until they can get the tourists back. So it's not going to cost anything if you want to just watch the live show and see what it's like if you ever wanted to go visit there and see the stunt show. But he will have links to donate money via PayPal or a mailing address if you so feel inclined. Also, I think I'm going to go and look to see. I think I've got some Carcano ammo. I don't know if it's 7.35 or 6.5. But I think I'm going to go get that just because I need a prop.
Sounds good.
Squid would have been so disappointed in me last night at the end of Gary's show. I completely botched the plug for Santee's live show tonight. I was trying to plug it because he wasn't there, so I was like, I'll plug this instead, get people from Gary's show to go watch. I completely forgot the name of Trail Dust Town.
Well, there's three parks in Tucson. So, and I think Trail Dust Town's literally across the street from one of them, and then the other one's on the backside of one of the was it Saguaro National Park West. So, if you didn't know and you said I'm just going to go to the theme park, you might end up at the wrong place.
Yeah. These things can happen, man. These things can happen. All right. Well, let's
Pinnacle Peak to Solero's right, so they can figure that out.
Because they're only at Trail Dust Town.
Gotcha. All right, moving on. Calaveras 32 special. Calaveras, how you doing this morning?
Doing just fine. I appreciate the invite there, Travis.
You were early at 6:08. Man, did you just roll out of bed, or did you get up at like 5 o'clock or 4:30? And what's the deal, man? This is kind of early for you, isn't it?
Today I was up at 5:30, so not ridiculous.
There you go. Get your cup of coffee, kick back and chill.
Yeah, we've got some stuff to take care of later on today with the fiance, but this morning I'm free.
Sounds good. So tell us a little bit about your channel. You got something? You have a new video coming up here pretty soon. You featured. Were you on Instagram that you posted a pic? She said you had a review coming up pretty soon on. I can't remember, what was it. Help me out here.
I just got it in here just a couple days ago. A beach and tactical sling.
Yes.
I'm gonna be doing some T&E on. So
okay.
It's gonna be a little while yet because I want to spend some decent amount of time so I can give a good quality review. So it's not just a fly by night. Hey, it looks cool.
Yeah. Actually got to try it out and see if it falls apart on you more or less.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And probably be switching out between a few different firearms. So that way I can test it out not just on ARs but shotguns and rifles and everything. So that way I can give, because I'm not a tactical guy. That way I can give a little bit of a background for those that may want to use it for something different.
Yes.
So yeah, I've got that coming up. This Friday coming up, the 26th, is deadline for people sending in videos, clips to me for the next round of Pass the Mag. Unfortunately, I've got about, including myself, I think I've only got about 5 people for this particular version, so it's going to be pretty short. If anyone else wants to take a look, or if they're interested, it's calaveras32special@gmail.com. You can email me and ask questions if you want to participate. I'll have no problem explaining to you what the process is, and we can hopefully get some more people in there on that one.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun if we get that put together. That'll be awesome. All right. And last but not least, joining us on the panel, we got Pat Hirsch. Pat, what's going on? Another fellow Nebraskan. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good this morning. It rained here last night, so I actually got a chance to have a day off so I could come out and hang out with you guys and talk about a cool old Milsurp rifle today. So, yeah, pretty happy.
Yeah, we're going to kind of change this a little bit. We're going to focus on just one caliber and one rifle. It's got a very, very interesting history to it, and they're still relatively affordable from what I'm seeing. I mean, like we said before, a lot of your Milsurp stuff starts at $350 on up if you want a functional rifle, and these are kind of the $450 to $500 range depending on which model specifically. But they're still out there, which is a good thing. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, and just a quick reminder that today's episode is brought to you by SS Pawn, Lexington, Nebraska. Make sure you guys take the exit to Lexington, Nebraska, and you'll see a big old sign that says Pawn Shop off to your right. Go in there, stop in, say hello to Stan, and SS Pawn will take care of all of your firearms needs. So, all right, and joining us this morning, I didn't get a chance to announce the people watching us. We got Beretta Man 2A Defender out there watching, and I want you guys to go over to Beretta Man 2A Defender's channel. He sent me some stickers, and he's also a patron of mine, and I talked to him quite a bit, and he's a good guy. Check out his channel. He does some really good gear reviews. Cool person to get to know, and so get on over to his channel. I've got a link for the channel in the chat right there if you want to check it out. Let's get him up to 200 subs today if we can, and help his channel grow, because he's got a great message and he's got a really fun channel, and so do check that out. So let's see, joining us, we got a little Southpaw RX says, good morning, listening while we're at work. Well, we'll try to keep it on the PG level if we possibly can for you there, Southpaw. Joel K is out there. Again, Beretta Man 2A Defender's out in the house. Rich White's out there. Over here, sub twice, he said. Man, you're so powerful, Rich, you can sub twice? How do you do that?
This channel and then the Unloaded Media channel.
Oh, there you go. I need to do that too, because I got my 2 channels also. And a cheap plug for my B channel. Check out Coffee, Computers, and More. It is a B channel that I launched a while ago, but I changed the name of it. Originally, it was just my full name. Decided to go with something a little more generic. But so if you like coffee and you like older computers and older tech, check it out. It's not mind-blowing content, but it's just kind of fun to watch. I find a lot of this old stuff I've sitting around and talk about it. So it's a lot of fun. 2 Live Moves out there, Calaveras 32 Specials over there and over here. E-Rock in the house. G-Webs is joining us this morning. Good morning, G-Webs. Get your coffee on G-Webs. Tacos and French fries is out there. And let's see, John Lowell's joining us. Gun Loving Grandpa. Firefighter 09100. Firefighter, is this the first time you checked out Caliber Corner? I can't remember. I know you and I chat a lot in Matt's podcast on Mondays and Wednesday nights. Again, tacos and French fries. Sounds so delicious. Jason Stewart, Gun Loving Grandpa, Scott P79, and that is it. So it is early. I'm sure more people are going to be joining in as we get into this discussion. And this is a viewer suggested topic. And I spent a couple hours yesterday educating myself on a rifle that, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I never really paid a lot of attention to it, which is sad because it's a very, very cool rifle. And so before we get into the discussion on the Carcano rifle, I just want to talk about the round, okay? So what we're talking about this morning is the 6.5 by 52 millimeter Carcano round, and a lot of people call it the let's see, 6.5 millimeter Italian is what people sometimes refer to it to. And I'm just going to do a little screen share, just hit the first paragraph of the information on it. And then after that, we can get our discussion on. And This is one of those rifles where, surprisingly, the ammunition is readily available in new manufacturer ammo, which a lot of people might not realize. So 6.5 by 52 millimeter Carcano, also known as the 6.5 by 52 millimeter Parvicini Carcano, or 6.5 by 52 millimeter Mannlicher Carcano, is an Italian military 6.5 millimeter rimless bottleneck rifle cartridge developed from 1889 to 1891 and used in the Carcano 1891 rifle and many of its successors. And by the way, this is the first, if I'm not mistaken, 6.5 millimeter round that was adopted by a standing army or a national army. A common synonym in American gun literature is 6.5 millimeter Italian. In American parlance, Carcano is frequently added to better distinguish it from the rimmed hunting cartridge of 6.5 by 52 millimeter R, which is also known as 25-35 Winchester. And basically, the performance is similar to 6.5 by 54 millimeter Mannlicher Schonauer. And we are getting into some really, really old ammunition here, guys. It was in service from 1891 till 1970. You can still find some of the surplus ammunition out there if you look around. Typically, we are looking at a 162 grain round nose ball ammo or bullet, all right, running at 2,300 feet per second and 1,897 feet per second. And when a lot of other armies at the time were adopting a Spitzer style bullet, the Italians decided to keep it with a round nose bullet. And one of the reasons why was because it would have better feeding for the rifle itself. And we'll look at some images of the 6.5 Carcano rifle and some of the features of it, because it's kind of a hybrid design of several other rifles that the Italians either licensed or stole or were inspired by to make the Carcano rifle. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, because at that time they were out trying to conquer the world like a lot of other places. And so this is what one of the rounds looks like. And also, another thing that's interesting about the Carcano round is this was developed at a time where, late 1800s, a lot of countries were starting to go into the 7.62 realm for ammunition as they were getting away from black powder. And a lot of places were going with the 8 millimeter round and larger for rounds. And the Italians decided to go 6.5 millimeter. They were actually developing the round before the Carcano rifle even existed. And one of the main reasons, there's two reasons primarily why they wanted to do this. One, the ammunition was lighter than the old 10.4 millimeter black powder cartridges the guys had to carry in the Verli Vitali rifle. And two, the 0 to 300 meter point blank accuracy of it, they found it to be superior to not only the 10.4, but also some of the higher powered cartridges that are out there. And they found that a lot of their engagements as they were out trying to conquer the world, Italy, right, were 0 to 300 meters. And so they didn't necessarily need something that could stretch out to 2,000 or 1,000 meters, right? Even though the Carcano rifle is graduated with the rear sight out to 2,000 meters. And so that was one of the reasons why, well, two reasons was, again, the flatter trajectory and the lighter ammunition. So they could outfit one of their soldiers with 160 rounds of ammunition for the same amount of weight that they can only outfit 100 rounds of 10.4 millimeter, just in terms of sheer weight on what their soldiers carried on them. And they had lost some important battles because their soldiers out on the front were still using these 10.4 millimeter rifles, and they would run out of ammunition, and they could have won the battles, and they lost several battles. So at that point, the Italian government decided it's time to come up with a new rifle. We need something more effective. We need something that's going to work. And that's why they started development of the 6.2 by 52 millimeter round. Do you guys want to chime in at all on that round at all? Do you guys have any experience with it or anything you know about it?
Travis, I just emailed you a picture of a Carcano stripper clip with 6.5, and then next to it will be a 6.5 round next to a 7.35 Carcano round.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring that up real quick. I'll open up the let's see, email. Did you send it to, oh, there we go, Carcano shells? Okay, so guys, I'm going to do another screenshot here. We'll bring this up. So do you want to kind of walk us through this when I get the screen share going? Sorry, guys, I'm running all this off on one screen. So, okay, so what are we looking at here, Squid?
Okay.
What do we got?
So on the right is a stripper clip for it. So it's a 6-round stripper clip, and those are 6.5 rounds in there. And then on the far left is a 7.35 Carcano round, which is something that they came up with right around World War II. They were looking for, a harder hitting round. The problem they had was getting it up to speed during the war. They were having so many production issues, they just went right back to the 6.5. So there are 7.35 out there. And as far as the distribution and what came over as far as milsurps and bring back stuff, I don't know. But as far as I know, they both use the same stripper clip. It's just a simple metal.
They call it an N block or an N block clip.
Basically. Oh yeah, it is an N block because it drops
clip,
at the bottom of the rifle when it's done. So everything is built. Yeah, I shouldn't really call this a stripper clip. You're right. Thank you very much.
No, it's okay.
This is actually an N block as opposed to a stripper because this does go into the rifle with it, and when it's done, it does drop out the bottom. So no, it's important to be technically correct when we're talking about this old stuff. So yeah, it is an N block clip, not a stripper clip. And as far as the bullets at the end of the cartridge, yeah, they are rounded off. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that it was a good idea at first, but then later on, it wasn't not so much. Now the 7.35 is also rounded as well. It's not really a Spitzer. It almost looks like the same case. I mean, if you look at it, you can't really tell.
It just looks like it's kind of necked up, maybe not even necked up a little bit. It's just basically almost identical, just not as round. Yeah.
Yeah, and for them to use the same N block clip, there's probably a lot of stuff that the two rifles shared. But this rounded bullet here, it's kind of like a throwback. You know what I mean? When everybody else were going with something more aerodynamic. But I mean, it worked, right?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, initially G said this. I don't like this bullet. It looks fragile. He's got a good point because the initial production of these rifles, the Carcano rifle, they had problems with the bullets basically disintegrating themselves in the barrel because of the rate of twist. So this was like a top secret thing that they never told anybody about, but we discovered it later on. They had what was called the progressive twist. I know there's a different name for it, where the rate of twist would actually tighten towards the end of the barrel. That would allow the bullet to not speed up until it got towards the end of the barrel. So instead of having this barrel that's running full speed a couple inches into the barrel, it would speed up at the end, which would help promote bullet, I guess, whatever you want to call it. The bullet would stay together longer, and also it would prevent the barrels from basically burning themselves out after so many thousand rounds. So it did have, and now they eventually fixed that by fine-tuning the powder and getting the round, better quality production of round, and then also better powder production, more consistency in the load. They were able to get away from it. Eventually, I think like after 1917 or 1918, they got away from that progressive rate of twist in the barrels. So if you buy one, if it's a post-1917, post-1918 model, it should have just a standard rate of twist in it like we're used to in a modern hunting rifle or just a modern rifle in general. We'll just check out some more pictures while we're talking about it and just kind of the design of it. You can see on this photo, this is how it would load in the top. And the magazine would go in through the top and lock into place. And then when you fired the last round, the clip would drop out of the bottom. And this design was actually licensed through Steyr. I don't know if it was Steyr or Mannlicher at the time. The Italian government paid for, I don't remember how many, they paid 300,000 lira back in the late 1800s to produce, I want to say to have the license to produce 900,000 of these, what do you call them, clip boxes? Or not even like a magazine box, I guess you could say.
Well, no, it's a magazine. It's an internal magazine
right?
with an N-block clip in there. See, the thing is, back in the late 19th century, early 20th century, you had different militaries around the world trying to get up to speed, and they're trying to one-up each other. And they went from smokeless powder to semi-smokeless powder. I mean, from black powder to compressed black powder, or semi-smokeless powder to smokeless powder. And, there were, the old school of thought was big cartridges, and they started going down to smaller cartridges. And, they were concerned about the troops wasting ammo, and there was just all kinds of things going on. And you'd either have one country copy another country, and then there'd be a lawsuit later, right?
Oh, yeah.
You'd have one country ask if they could buy the licensing agreement, or you'd have one country have somebody else make it for them, and then they'd start making it in-house themselves and having to pay a license. Or you would just if you start reading the history of any of these old milsurp rifles, it goes way back, and there's a lot of finger pointing, and it's and people want money for their patents, and people, and there's a lot of background history to these things. It's really interesting. Yeah, on my straight pull Mannlicher, it drops out the bottom as well. So yeah, it's got to be. So many of these different firearms inventors had these rights, and I don't understand the legality of how it crosses borders, but they were able to fight them in courts.
Yeah, but Italy, they did have a license to the patent to produce so many of these magazine boxes. There's a button right in front of the trigger too that would also release the end block clip. So if you wanted to force the clip out of the bottom for any reason at all, you could do so. You didn't have to necessarily cycle out the rounds. And the actual action itself, it was when you would pull back, the action would actually cock itself. And I guess it's sort of kind of based on the Mauser. It's an open breech top. And it did have a different type of safety that was actually developed by Salvatore Carcano, the man that helped design the rifle. And I believe it would flag up towards the top, and you couldn't look down the sights unless you had the safety pulled off to the right, which would be hot, ready to fire. So it's a very, very, and it's a very simple bolt. I think it's roughly 4 or 5 pieces to the bolt itself. It's very easy to disassemble. It's even easier to take apart, in my opinion, than the Mosin Nagant bolt, which is really a pain in the butt to take apart. And we'll look at more pictures of the bolt here in a little bit. It does not have a separate bolt head, by the way. Everything was machined into the bolt, including the locking lugs.
How many locking lugs did it have?
2.
Okay.
And it had a huge freaking extractor. I mean, it was like twice the circumference, I guess you could say, of what you'd see on like a modern rifle. So, I mean, it was a very simple, I used to say robust design, more or less. Or I can bring up a picture of it real quick and we'll see if we can find it. But yeah, I mean, it's got some really cool design cues that it pulled from other rifles at the time, whether we say begged, borrowed, or stole, basically. Let's see if I can get a picture of the bolt face here. Here we go. Okay. All right, so check that out. I don't want to click on the zoom in case this brings up something I don't want to show on the screen. So we're just going to look at it from the browser. And so you've got the extractor on the left-hand side, and then your ejector was down on the bottom right-hand. So I guess the location of the ejector made the bolt a little bit rugged, a little rough to operate, not quite as smooth as other guns at the time, like a straight-up Mauser. And then you've got your 2 locking lugs also. But all this is machined into the bolt itself, which I'm kind of surprised we don't maybe see this on modern rifles, just because of the simplicity and the build quality of it, or just the durability of it. Now, talking about so what about ammunition? Okay, Squib, have you ever loaded this, or you said you do have some of this ammunition?
Yeah, I keep all kinds of different ammunition. Sometimes just I collect it, or this is eventually I'd like to have 1 or 2 Carcano rifles, and I decided to order some 6.5. That's PPU.
Oh yeah, I was just going to talk about that in a second here. Yeah, let's bring that up.
And then the 7.35 that I got is precision cartridge, which is they're out of Indiana. I think they're sold on one of the websites, maybe. It ain't Midway. I can't remember who sells it, but it's on one of the bigger websites, like Mid-South Shooters or Natchez or something like that.
Yeah.
So it is available out there if you want to shoot. And I'm going to guess the PPU for sure is probably matching the military load, right? I mean, they've been
they would not make it for any. Yeah. It's 123 grain soft point. We can look up the specific velocity. I'll click on the
and then the end block clip. I think I actually ordered that from Numrich off of Amazon, to tell you the truth.
Are they new production ones? Because they seem like to be very easy to make. Or are they vintage? Are they surplus? Or do you know?
Let's see. It's marked SM1 star 39. So I don't know if that means it was made in 1939 or this is just a stamping on a reproduction. I mean, Numrich does sell some reproduction parts for guns, and it'll usually say that on their site, Chinese reproduction or something like that. But this, I just I wanted to have one because I'm into military history stuff, and I said I'm going to need one eventually. But I couldn't tell you if this is original. I mean, it doesn't look beat up, but there's lots of stuff that sat in arsenals for decades, right?
Oh, yeah,
and it looks mint when you get it.
Yeah. This is what I'm going to say about. I would imagine that you can fire this ammunition safely in a 6.5 Carcano rifle, but again, you'd want to have that rifle inspected by a competent gunsmith or you yourself if you know what you're doing. This PPU seems to be loaded a little bit hot. It says 2690 for muzzle velocity, which is about 300 over what the original load was stated at being. It's basically the same grain weight, 123 grain bullet for the original M91 rifle. So, I mean, but if this, I don't know of any other rifle that's chambered in 6.5 Carcano other than the specific surplus Carcano line. So I would imagine this would be safe to shoot, but you definitely want to do some research on it because, I mean, PPU does this. They make these vintage rounds for your older rifles. Thank God they still make it because otherwise, you'd have trouble finding it. Now, the actual cost of the ammunition, this is what really surprised me for such a, I guess you could say, boutique load, because you can't just find this everywhere. It's not in production by multiple companies. It is only $13.50 for 20 rounds. So, I mean, it's not an expensive round if you want to get one of these rifles and use it as a target, as just like a range rifle, or heck, you could even hunt with it, I would imagine. 67.5 cents a round is really not that bad. So if you want to pick one up and actually shoot it and enjoy it, that's pretty fair. Now, again, going back to the rifle itself, we can kind of talk about the development of it and so on. And again, design cues, a lot of these late 1800s rifles, they really do have a lot of similar design elements that they borrowed from each other. I mean, this one almost looks almost Mosin-Nagant-esque in the style of the stock and so on. Now, even though it's called the M91 rifle, that was one of the first infantry rifles that Carcano, or that the Armory was rolling out. Didn't really even get into production until around 1893. And even then, they were more interested in their domestic consumption of this rifle than they were sending it out to their soldiers on the front lines. So even into like the late 1800s, their soldiers were still using the Vetterli rifle, and so they didn't exactly even get it really even out there into circulation until almost the beginning of World War I, which I thought was interesting. So here's just a little history on the Carcano rifle if you don't know anything about it. It says Carcano is the frequently used name for a series of Italian bolt-action, magazine-fed, repeating military rifles and carbines. Hey, and guys that are with me in the panel, kind of keep an eye on the comments because I'm not able to see them because I'm just doing a single screen here this morning. So if anybody has a question or comment, just make sure you interrupt me and let me know, okay? Introduced in 1891, this rifle was chambered for the rimless 6.5 by 52 millimeter Carcano cartridge. It was developed by Chief Technician Salvatore Carcano at the Turin Army Arsenal in 1890 and called the Modello 91 or simply M91, successfully replacing the previous Vetterli Vitali rifles and carbines in 10.35 by 47 millimeter R. It was produced from 1892 to 1945. And the M91 was used in both rifle and shorter barrel carbine form by most Italian troops during the First World War and by Italian and some German forces during the Second World War. The rifle was also used during the Winter War by Finland and again by regular and irregular forces in Syria, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria during various post-war conflicts in these countries. And whenever you go to Wikipedia, it's always interesting because they have the list of all the wars that these rifles were used in. I mean, it's seen combat, Libyan Civil War, the Kosovo War, World War II, World War I. So these were still floating around, into the 20th century. Numbers built roughly 2 to 3 million. And when you look them up to buy one, prices are around the $550 range. The majority of what I'm finding are the shorter carbine models. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they were later production, whereas these early rifles got used just simply because they had to be. Do any of you guys have a Carcano rifle? Squib, do you own one? Or I'm trying to think of who in our little gun channel circles has one. Doesn't Cycle Camp, didn't he pick one up in Tulsa?
I don't have one yet, but I've got stuff for guns that I don't own yet. If I've seen something and it's a good deal, or I'm already paying for shipping or whatever it is, I'm thinking down the road, and it takes a while. But I mean, I see them at gun shows all the time. I just haven't picked one up.
Yeah. Another cool thing that I want to share with you real quick too, and I'll go back to screen share here in a second. Let me check comments and make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's see here. You guys have any questions out there? What's that?
G-Webs did make a comment about the quality of the Carcanos. It's about, his statement was the only thing of basically of lesser quality was the Japanese,
Arisakas. Yeah, I was thinking that there was a variant of that the Italians made a version of the Carcano for the Japanese. I don't know if they actually labeled it as an Arisaka or if it was chambered in whatever caliber the Japanese were shooting at that time. But there was a contract for a Carcano style rifle for Japan, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, there's this, when you get into the history of this, we're just dabbling into the early production of the rifle, but it is pretty interesting. So. What is G saying there? Well, if I'm aiming, I'm probably going to shoot anyway. So why not force the safety off just to look through the sights? LOL. Oh, man. All right. So let's see. G-Web says it used to be quite rare to find it in stores. They would make a specialty batch once in a while. Let's check out. I want to show you this. This is one of my favorite things. I think this is just so cool. You know, I like these little things that they would do to these rifles, and maybe this showed up on other rifles. I'm kind of educating myself more on this actual rifle itself. So this is, I'm trying to find one that's actually in decent shape for the sights. They had a fixed iron sight, okay, with like a little flap over the top. And I guess I can show you a picture of what one kind of disassembled looks like, more or less. But you had a fixed iron sight, okay, and that was your 0 to 300 meter iron sight. And because of the 6.5 round, you weren't necessarily guaranteed a hit, but it was basically calibrated for 0 to 300 meters. So they had just an iron sight. There was a flap that sits up against this iron sight, and if you flip it forward, you had the fixed iron sight on the rear, and if you pull it back, it would adjust and go from like 600 to 2,000 meters. You can actually adjust the elevation on it, which is really cool because, and then the flap itself, when the flap was sitting up against the iron side, it would raise it up enough to get you out to like 450, 500 yards. Go ahead, Rich. Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, it's extremely interesting and extremely optimistic.
It is. I don't know, like, how I love to shoot into these. I'm sure if you look around on YouTube, there's probably some accuracy tests on this rifle to see what it would. Was it minute of man accurate? Was it, you know, was it an MOA rifle at 100 yards? I'm really kind of curious about that round itself. Just by its nature being rounded, you would think it'd be very susceptible to everything, you know. But yeah, I wish I could find one that's got the flap on it. You can actually see it, but what's that?
Being rounded, it would be better going through brush than what a Spitzer round would be. Spitzer rounds going through brush have a tendency, if they hit a branch, they might veer off, whereas a round nose will tend to punch through. So in the brush situation might be a little bit better.
Well, and like I said before, this was at a time when Italy was still out trying to conquer the world. I mean, they had a vicious battle with the Ethiopians, which they lost.
Italy was constantly trying
because they ran out of ammo
around that time period.
But that,
the jungles of Ethiopia, that might have been a good round.
Oh, here's a picture of what it looks like with the flap down. Here's the flap right here. And it would flip over, and then you could pinch it from the side and slide it up, and it would lock into place from 600 meters to 2,000 meters. Well, the model that I was looking at in the video goes out to 2,000 meters. And then, Rich, you have a little fact about this rifle that a lot of people maybe don't know. What's that little factoid we talked about before we?
It has something to do with a grassy knoll in Dallas.
Yeah, something. We had a president that was
1963. A book depository. Yeah, that was the rifle that was used by Oswald.
So, I mean, if anybody doubts its accuracy, I guess some people could beg to differ, unfortunately. But
well, that's kind of questionable. I mean, I think that, well, first off, anybody could make that shot. I get so sick of hearing this. It was just such a hard shot. You got to be kidding me. It wasn't even that far. But
yeah, the distance,
I mean, it did
40 yards, because I've actually been to the book repository in Dallas and they have an X on the street where the actual shots hit Kennedy.
Well, and even though it had a cheap optic on there, he had an optic too. But from one standpoint, yeah, it proves that the rifle can do the job. On the other standpoint, it wasn't really that hard to make the shot. So, take it for what it's worth. I think that if you had good ammunition and a decent rifle and you practice some, you could be accurate with this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you could do that with most milsurps. It's just a matter of how much practice you want to do. I mean, I don't know how hard this thing kicks in the shoulder, but have you ever taken your Mosin to the range all day and come home and said, why did I do that?
I was just straight up just a T-shirt shooting it with that steel butt plate. I've done probably 50 rounds. And the next day you feel like somebody just punched you in the shoulder as hard as they could, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I don't care how buff or how awesome or how strong you are. It still aches after a while. It's kind of hard to get around the physics of that kind of kick, 50 times. And it's fun, but you do feel it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's the case with some other milsurps too. But since I've never shot one of these, I don't know how bad the recoil is or anything else like that with it.
Yeah, I did find. Go ahead.
I talk about the Japanese one. Well, a quick, just figured if anyone was going to have a video on it, I went over to Forgotten Weapons. They said, there's a Japanese Type 1 Carcano.
Yeah.
That answered that question from earlier. And they've got a whole freaking series of videos on all the different generations of Carcanos. I just had a quick scroll. Looks like I'm seeing at least 10 different videos that are on Carcanos on Forgotten Weapons. So if anyone wants more info, Gun Jesus has a whole bunch of information for you.
Yeah, if you really want to get into depth, you can go over to CN Arsenal and really get into depth on it.
And see, something about these milsurps, even though the model number might be from the 19th century, they went into production, then went out of production, went into production, out of production. The Ordnance Department wanted to make this change and this change and this change, so they decided they would send them all back to the arsenal and redo all of them. And then between wars, they would store them and they just sit there. And then another war comes up and they need them and they pull them all out and refinish them. And if you go to get a milsurp, depending on once it got over here to America, depending on how much it was shot, you might be getting something in a fairly decent condition because it might have been arsenal refinished multiple times, or it might have been modernized. Now, if you're looking for the collector piece, you want the one before they made this change. That's the hard thing to find, right? But for your common battle rifle in World War I or World War II, you might get something that's been rebarreled, or it just really depends. If you buy from an owner, or you get it at a gun show and this thing's been passed around from person to person, they've used crappy ammo and whatever, you could be getting a piece of junk. But it's something that I think people kind of think that they made them and they just kept using them for 30 years and they never did anything to them. And that's not the case.
There are so many variants of these that are out there. I mean, you can go to the original M91. Here's something else that's interesting about this. Unlike a lot of these other milsurps that we see, like my Mosin's got the serial number on probably 6 different places on that rifle. And the Italians, they put it on the receiver and then sometimes stamped in the stock. And that was it. And one of the reasons why they didn't waste the time putting serial numbers on the parts was that they knew that they were going to wear these rifles out. What's the point of putting the serial number on it when this rifle's compatible with that rifle? And if we need to swap a bolt or swap a magazine, why do we care? So they actually, serial numbers, you're like, and a number's matching Carcano. It's going to be on the stock typically, and it's going to be on the receiver, and that's about it. And that might have changed, but they didn't waste the time because, for one thing, they were in the middle of World War I when they were really getting these things into production, and they didn't want to waste the time stamping out these serial numbers and keeping track of it. And number two, it's just because of parts interchangeability. If we're going to swap this bolt out or swap out this magazine, or a whole batch of these are going to come into the arsenal and get refinished. Now, it's kind of the same thing with the Mosins. There's a lot of non-numbers matching Mosins that went to the arsenal and got refinished, and they either stamped out or crossed out the number and put a new one on there, or they just assembled them from parts they threw together. There was a whole box full of bolts. They'd grab one and throw it in a receiver, send it out the door. So you might say there's maybe some advantage to getting a numbers matching Carcano, but really it was never a priority. So I don't know how big of a deal it is from a collecting standpoint.
Yeah, after the war, a bunch of our stuff was reworked in France by FN. We, the French needed to work. Their whole industry has been destroyed. We're trying to help rebuild after the war. We had all this stuff over there. They had the capability to rework all of our stuff. So we gave it to them, and they would break it down and throw, all of this part in a bin, all of this part, and then they'd take the best parts and put them together and replace whatever they needed, and this, that, and the other. So even with an American milsurp, you're probably going to get something where numbers are not matching, but they should work fine. Now, some stuff was kind of hand fitted for some countries. They were still kind of in that mindset. So if you get a non-numbers matching Aristaka, it may or may not work as well, or something like that. So if you're getting something that isn't working well right away, do a little research and find out. But there's no way to say, oh man, does anybody have bolt number this? Because I could really use it.
Now, just actually talking about the the collectability and just looking at the value. Let's do a little share screen. I always love to do a little window shopping with you guys, get you to spend some money. Hey Pat, I apologize. I didn't know that you were sitting out. Maybe you just dropped out a little while ago. So Pat, we brought you back in. Didn't mean to keep you waiting there, buddy. If we head on over to Gunbroker and we look at I just typed in 6.5 Carcano. There's 121 items for sale, and the bulk of what you see are going to be these carbines. Now, the original Carcano had a really decent bayonet. It was maybe a foot long, and it did have like a blood groove. It looked like a standard blade. I'll bring the bayonet up here in just a minute and show you guys. But it would just simply, you'd push a button and it would lock on the front. It's a much nicer design, in my opinion, than the Mosin, where the Mosin bayonets are sometimes a pain to get off. So you're looking at $550. And again, Gun Broker is always going to be an overinflated price, in my opinion. So if you want something that, I don't know if this is necessarily even a shooter, but we're looking at $550 will get you a complete rifle. And this is the carbine model. So it's got the shorter barrel. It also has a spike bayonet on it instead of a lock-on knife-style bayonet. But if you want to get one, that's kind of what you're looking at for price. And these have gone up a lot. I know they've gone up a couple $100s in just the last few years, just what I've seen looking at them too. But there are some good examples that are out there. Here's a Carcano 9138 rifle, pristine bore, World War II, World War I, not Mauser 99, no reserve. So here's another one. It looks like a carbine also. Well, maybe. I don't know. I have to look at the front of it. So again, yeah, there are examples if you want one. But again, when you get these, I would almost say the best way to get one would be to go to a gun show like the Tulsa Wanamaker Gun Show, because there's going to be examples there that you can actually handle, that you can check out. Here's a 1941 that's got a current bid of $325, which looks really nice. Looks like it stocks in decent shape. But I mean, they're gonna be beat up, because these were used. I mean, these were wartime rifles. These were, Imperial era rifles. So to find one that's going to be pristine and unfired would probably be just about unheard of. So you can see what they look like. And again, the design's kind of similar to the Mosin, but then again, you've also got some of those Mannlicher style features that are on there. And again, parts are available, brass is available for it. It's not hard to find. You can get new production ammunition for it. So again, if you want a shooter, it's not necessarily, something that's going to be out of the realm for your person that buys it. There's dies available. Lee has a 6.5 Carcano die if you want to reload. There's cartridges available, bullets, end block clips. So I'm seeing $30 for two of them. Squib, do you remember what you paid for your end block clip?
Yeah, earlier I went and looked here, and on the Numrich site, it was $6.25, and it is a reproduction. On another site that I go to for a lot of my spare parts, it's two for $18, and it says that they're in good shape, but they're probably reproductions as well.
Okay. Bullets, we got $47 for surplus 6.5 Carcano bullets. Somebody's getting a little feedback there, guys. Can you check your stream? Looks like I got somebody rolling here. Okay, let me go back to share screen real quick. And again, just checking out what's out there. So you can get the ammunition, you can get the brass. Let's see. This is, yeah. So, I mean, again, the parts are out there, the components are out there, and like I said, you can buy new production ammo. So it's kind of an interesting little rifle. Let's see. There's something else. Oh yeah, the bayonet. Let's check out the bayonet. Find one here. I have to find a basic image here. Let's see. The bayonets run about $90 over on eBay.
That's not too bad, actually.
No, for an actual for the Model 91s. Here you go. This is what it looks like, basically. And that's even on a different. That looks like it's on a shorter model. Also, looks like it's a carbine. Yeah, it is a carbine. But that's how the bayonet would attach. It would just simply slide on the front. It would lock onto this. You'd push this pin in the back, and it would open up, and you'd slide it into the channel, and it would lock behind it, and then it would mount on the front of the barrel. But yeah, they're pretty interesting. It's fairly modern looking design too for bayonets. It's not like it was using like a giant spike bayonet. Granted, they had that on some of the carbines, but and then okay, so information on that Japanese Carcano that we were talking about earlier. The Type 1 Carcano rifle was produced by Italy for the Japanese Empire prior to World War II. After the invasion of China, all Arisaka production was required for use of the Imperial Army. So the Imperial Navy contracted with Italy for this weapon in 1937. So the Type 1 is based on the Type 38 rifle and uses a Carcano action, but retains the Arisaka Mauser Type 5 round box magazine. The Type 1 was used primarily by Japanese Imperial Naval Forces and was chambered for the Japanese 6.5 by 50 Arisaka cartridge. And approximately 60,000 Type 1 rifles were produced by Italian arsenals for Japan. So that just kind of shows you that there was, and then it gets into the history and the different variants and the different models and so on. I mean, you can spend days researching this. I just spent a couple hours looking it up and found quite a bit of information out there on it. Anything else about the Carcano, guys? Anything you wanna talk about, or anything we should know about it? It's got an interesting lineage and history. There's a good picture of one.
I mean, if you're looking for a milsurp for historical reasons, a lot of people want it because of the Kennedy assassination, and that is a historical thing. However, that one was kind of I think that one was kind of specific, and then they put a real half-ass scope on it after the fact that it was bought mail order and stuff like that. But this thing has a history as far as there's more to it than just that. But that's the notoriety. Some people might have never heard of this thing if it weren't for that, even though they served over in Italy or in other theaters of the war where this was at. So just understand that when you get a milsurp, there's things that come with it. Okay, back in the day, it used to be something more, I'm going to get a milsurp because it's so cheap. And then you get it and find that parts are hard to get, or you get it and you find that this thing is 6 foot long and it kicks like a mule, or you get it and ammo's hard to get, or you get it and so from a collector standpoint, I like this rifle, but for a daily shooter, maybe not. Just I guess if you get this or any other milsurp and then you find that you really don't like it for some of the things you find out later, you can always trade it for something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and they are going up in value. Like I said, I remember seeing them at Wanamaker for $349 2 years ago, and here we're looking at $500, $550, and it's just like anything. As the surplus starts to dry up, the prices on these start to go up. And so, from an investment standpoint, if you just want it for just a collection purposes, or even if you just want to enjoy it, they're out there. But again, you'd want to get a check to make sure that it's going to be safe to fire. Although I wouldn't really necessarily worry about it. But G had said that these don't recoil very much at all. And he said that he shot a bunch of them over the years and fiddled with them at gun shops. And it does make me want to hit some of the little mom and pop places to see if I can find one, because you never know if you might come upon one, say for $300, that's just kind of sitting there on a rack that nobody's ever really paid attention to. And
so, I want to know, okay, I just looked to see when Antique Arms is coming to my area next, because we get that 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. And everybody talks about, you can find anything at Wanamaker. I'm telling you can find anything at Antique Arms in Michigan. But they're not having a show until September. My guess is because of the whole COVID thing. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think as far as gun shows? When you go to a gun show next, when more and more places start opening up, are the prices going to be inflated because these guys lost money, or the price is going to be down because they're desperate to get people in?
I will tell you from a Nebraska perspective, I've been to many Nebraska gun shows. You get a lot of the same vendors, and some of the guns that I've looked at, the same vendors will be back showing the exact same guns. Now, this is over like the last 5 years. I have not seen a difference in the prices. Obviously, they're going to be MSRP on a lot of the guns that they're selling. They're going to be maybe even a little bit more. So G says $550. Yeah, starting bids on Gunbroker is $500 to $550 for a Carcano carbine. $550 is where was the starting bid. There's no buy it nows on Gunbroker right now. And that Gunbroker is just one reference point. That's not the only place. But I notice whenever I try to look up guns for sale online, I click on it, and it's an old ad that's already expired. So, I mean, I just usually go to Gunbroker because it's active listings, and that's not, religion, but that is just one price reference. So, yep. She says these were $70 guns for a long time. Oh man, yeah, your Mosins are, you can still find Mosins for $350 to $400. But Squib, to answer your question, I don't know really if we're going to see much of a price increase. I didn't see much of a price increase last spring when I went to the big Lincoln, Nebraska gun show, the Lancaster County gun show. I did find that Mosin for $200. I got lucky on that one, but Mosins were $300, $350. SKSs were $350 to $400, depending on if it was, the lineage of it and so on.
Well, maybe they weren't halted.
What's that?
Maybe gun shows weren't halted in your state and some other states, but there's a lot of places where, that's a public gathering, and, you might get COVID cooties. So stuff like that got shut down. So is the vendor going to say, I got to recoup my losses, or is the vendor going to say, I better do something to get business? Especially with so many people being out of work and stuff like that. On the other hand, the vendors might be rubbing their hands together going, they'll spend some of that stimulus money. It's like, dude, that money's long gone, so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I'll tell you right now, just prices overall are up. I mean, I was looking at Palmetto State Armory this morning, and they're asking, $319 for a shield, where they were $250 guns for years. And then even just the average price of uppers, from what I'm seeing, are up. Like Bear Creek Arsenal, their prices are up probably $25 to $40 on an upper versus how it was pre-pandemic. A couple local places are asking $600 for a DPMS Oracle, and that was a $399 AR-15, M4, whatever, for years. And so prices in general have gone up. If anything, they're selling for the retail price. You're not really seeing those discounted prices like you did before. ZG Web says you could do a show like that Antique Pickers show, call it Fudding, and go buy old milsurps off of Fuds who bought them to sporterize, then brag about how you rip them off afterwards. Yeah, that would be interesting to do something like that, like antique gun finds or something like that. Yeah. We got to come up with a creative name for it, though, where we go haggle and try to negotiate with people. The funny part is a lot of the sporter rifles, their prices are what they're asking for. Some of these sporter models of a lot of these rifles, whether it's a Mauser or a Mosin, they're asking what a good condition original Mosin was just like a year or two ago. Sporter prices are just going up too, so people don't even care anymore. It's just interesting that the prices go up. So Scott P79 says, Travis, that's because the unprecedented demand for firearms. We've had it we've had 120 million new gun owners since COVID. 20 million people have become new gun owners since COVID. I believe it. No, Scott, I know. I hear you completely. I talk to gun stores, and they are having trouble acquiring inventory for themselves, and they're not getting the deals that they used to get before. They're paying near MSRP prices, and so you're not seeing the prices drop in a lot of the gun stores. I'm seeing inventory. There's stuff on the shelves. The one thing that kind of blew my mind is I went to Shields last night here in Lincoln, and the ammunition was thin. The reloading supplies was very thin. What really surprised me, and I don't know what happened, their Magpul selection was wiped out. I mean, all the Magpul accessory stuff, I was going to take a picture of it. It was the barest I've ever seen the Magpul section, and maybe they just can't get it, or maybe Magpul can't keep up with demand. Magpul's made in the USA. It's not like it's China imports, right? And so I was probably go check the PMAG selection and see if that was thin, but like all the accessories gone. Do you guys notice that in your neck of the woods? Is the Magpul selection thin at your gun stores? Squib, do you notice that, or Rich or Calaveras? Do you guys happen to check accessories at all and see if there's a lack of accessories out there?
The only gun store I've gone to since this whole thing is the sporting goods store down the street, and that was when everybody's saying you can't get 9mm, and they had 3 shelves stacked bottom to top with 9mm, and then people are saying there's no guns on, and I'm looking at the gun counter and it's loaded down with guns. Now, granted, we were shut down for like 2 weeks, so there was frogs and crickets there, but that almost worked to our benefit because when they reopened them, we had plenty of stuff while everybody else was going, we ain't got nothing, so we were all like, boo, 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 boo. But I mean, they've got some Magpul stuff there. I really wasn't seeking it out, but I didn't notice anything missing. I haven't gone to the local Bass Pro, which is my closest reload supply place. So maybe next time I go there, I'll check it out. But online, I'm finding everything online. So, and I've heard some people talk about price gouging, but I haven't really dealt with that yet either. So I can't. I think it's just it's a local thing, or if you only shop off 2 websites, you might run into that problem. Whatever you do, don't buy crap off cheaper than dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's for haven't been into local gun shops per se. That's for last night, and I swung through our local Sportsman's Warehouse, which is kind of a knockoff Bass Pro. You can think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed to have plenty of rifles on the rack. There was a line probably 10 people deep, for pickups. So I didn't even bother to walk over to see what all they had, but I walked through the ammo section, and they had maybe, if optimistically, 25%. On other shelves actually had stuff on it for ammo. The rest of it was empty, and most of what they did have on there was either the higher end self-defense stuff, or they did have quite a few of the plastic ammo cans of American Gunner 6.5 Creedmoor. They probably had 50 of those ammo cans, which I thought was kind of impressive that they had, for just the one caliber.
Yeah.
Walking through the reload section, they had a few bricks of Winchester like large rifle, magnum primers and some large pistol magnum primers. But that was basically all the primers they had. They had almost no slugs. They had, nothing that would really go with a lot of your more common calibers. That's where, so the pickings can be a bit slim depending on where you go.
Yeah. Yeah, for here it's a lot of the 9mm is sold out, but you can still get it. Most of the anything critical defense, anything is basically cleaned out. I think a lot of people have been buying that for their firearms too. Like the critical defense 9 was sold out, the 380, the 45, none of that stuff was on the shelves. There was other brands of defensive ammo that was out there on the shelves that I saw last night. Now G says Magpul is so 2015. I know, G, I know. I like their stuff. I just like the MOE furniture because to me, it's a little more comfortable to use than just just like a bone stock or just a standard furniture setting that comes on your M4s. But let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah. So, anything else on the Carcano, guys? Anything else you wanna chat about on that, or we still kind of beat that one to the end? I think we're good. Okay. All right. So that's our discussion on the M1891 Carcano. Now, moving on. This is kind of interesting. I was trying to find the history of the 410 shot shell, and I had a request from a viewer that said, hey, I just want to know a little bit about the 410 shot shell, right? And, the 410 has really evolved so many different ways today. I mean, there's, you've got 410 that's being developed for shorter barrel handguns like the Judge and help me out here, guys. We got the Judge. What's the other one? Not the prosecutor, the district attorney, the DA. What do they call it?
Governor.
The governor. That's right, the governor and the judge. And there's ammunition being developed for those types of firearms. Winchester has the PDX Defender round, which when my wife had a Rossi Circuit Judge, that's what we kept in it for home defense for her. She's a lefty, so she uses ambi guns. And what's cool about that is that has like 3 little plates in it with shot between the plates, and it makes a wicked little spread at about 7 yards, which would be perfect for home defense in this little apartment that we live in. And so, so 410 is interesting. And I looked it up and I was trying to find just like a history of 410. And so let me just share with you what little bit of information I have, and you guys can share with me your experiences using the 410 shell. One thing about it that people need to understand, a lot of people think, I'm going to get a 410 because, for my kid, or I'm going to get a 410 for my spouse because they're a smaller stature or they're a littler person. 410 firearms many times weigh just as much as 12 or 20 gauge shotguns. So kind of keep that in mind. Yeah, you have less recoil, but there's so much more barrel material on the front, especially when you talk like over-unders and stuff like that. So I just found a little article called taleof230s.com, and it says the history of the 410 shotgun is a bit murky, but it seems to have originated in Europe, probably Germany, around 1910. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I have no idea if any of this is true, but it seems to be legit. All right, so this is just take it with a grain of salt. This explains why the 1908 Sears and Roebuck catalog lists many, many shotguns for sale, but no 410s. In Europe, the cartridge was given a metric designation, 12 millimeter. As our name indicates, however, the gun has a bore diameter of 0.410 inches, and this is a different way of expressing the size of the gun that is used with other shotguns, in which the term gauge is used. Remington UMC manufactured 2-inch and 2.5-inch 410 ammo beginning in 1915. Winchester followed suit in 1916. Sources say that the Iver Johnson champion appeared in 1909, but it was made in many gauges, and it is likely that the 410 appeared at a later date. At any rate, the 410 was in operation well before 1920. Someone with access to old gun and ammunition catalogs may find other interesting ammunition. The 410 is the smallest shotgun size available and is therefore light and easy to handle with not much kick, but difficult to learn to use effectively because of the small amount of shot that it throws. Hitting game can be much more difficult than when using a shotgun with a larger shell, and this is the kind of thing that bothers you only if you know it and worry about it. And then the guy goes on and tells a story about why he only runs a 12 or 20 gauge and not a 410. So my wife loves the 410. I mean, we can actually shoot, blue rock, clay pigeons with it out of that Rossi Circuit Judge, believe it or not. What do you guys think about the 410? What are your thoughts on it? Do you enjoy it?
Never actually shot it, but although the fact that you can get it in a revolver, a full-length shotgun, and if you can find them, the old Lee Enfields that were modified for India, I think you can find it in a bunch of different things. So it could be useful. And you're saying that the firearms can be as heavy as a 20 gauge. Which, if you're looking at a youth shotgun, having such a small shell and such a heavyweight platform may actually be beneficial, especially if you're teaching the kid to, let's just say, turkey hunt from a blind so they can rest it, so they're not trying to pick up the weight of that barrel.
Yeah.
It might be a good starter for them.
In terms of marketing, 410 ammo, it's not just, birdshot. There are so many. I don't know if there's a 410 slug. We'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
There is a 410 slug. Okay.
Yes, there are.
The applications of this, there are, the marketing behind it. There's a ton of options out there if you really want to get into 410. And Calaveras, you're right. Talk about mitigating recoil, but it is going to be a very front heavy firearm, especially if you're looking at an over under application for a 410. And I just say this because we got my wife a Stoker Condor in 20 gauge over under, and she was thinking about getting the 410, and she's holding this thing, and there's a lot of steel up in the front there. I mean, it's really front heavy, which is not a problem, for her, but she decided to go with the 20 instead because she can handle the recoil. But let's see here. So G-Web says they had to invent the 410, then give it to Annie Oakley to use when she went against dudes shooting 12 gauge, so they would have a chance. Yeah. I mean, and okay, so no actual firearms. I think Walmart at one point was carrying our Walmart sell firearms. They were carrying a $100 break action, like an H&R shotgun chambered in 410 that you could get. They also do it in a 12 and a 20. I was just kind of looking over at where are we at here? Over at Bud's Gun Shop. And if you want to get into 410, if you're just kind of curious about it, Rossi makes a single break action model, 28-inch barrel with a 3-inch chamber for $115, which is not bad. They also make it as a youth model, which is going to have a shortened barrel and a shortened stock. So it's going to fit kids a little bit better. Henry, we got a Henry repeating arm single shot 410 for $364. The other cool thing, let me do a little screen share. Megan, if you're new to firearms, you might not even realize that these things exist. And these sometimes bring a bit of a premium. The combo guns. Any of you guys have one of these in your collection? Any kind of a combo?
No.
I call them a combo gun. You can call them whatever you want, but
I want one.
Savage 42 takedown model. And this is a 22 LR 410. So I'm assuming, I don't know if the 22 is on the top and the 410 is on the bottom, but you can run two different types of ammunition through the firearm, which makes it very flexible as a small game rifle, maybe even like a little ranch patrol rifle, a rattlesnake gun, and so on. Great for kids if you just want something kind of flexible for whatever kind of utility. These little combo guns are great. Now they're $421, or retail is $433, so they're not inexpensive. But this is a fairly kind of modern take on the classic combo gun. I didn't even know Savage made this until now because I haven't really looked at models. Now, granted, this is a takedown model, which means it's going to break apart into two pieces, which is going to give you ease of transport. Say you want to throw it on an ATV in like a travel bag, or you want to keep it in your truck or whatever. That's pretty sweet. I've never had a combo gun. I know older combo guns tend to bring a premium on the used market if you look them up. And there's some of these, I've seen them that have like 28 gauge or 16 gauge, and there's 22 LR. I don't know how big the calibers go on a combo gun. If anybody ever did like a 28 or 16 gauge with say a 223 or a 243, I don't know. But we'd have to look and see how large they get. I think the whole idea is to keep it small and compact.
I think it's a boutique gun, but that's where you see the picture floating around occasionally. It's like a break action. I think you can get one that's what's like a 3-barrel. You got like a 12 gauge, like a 30.
Oh, yeah.
22. So it's very boutique, but with that combo gun thing, there are companies that make ones. I'm sure if you got the money, you probably can get one chambered in just about anything you could ever want, and used for just about anything you would ever want.
Oh yeah, anymore. If you just go out there and look for it, you're probably going to find it because somebody's going to make it. Here's the Henrys. Weren't these new this year? The 410 lever action shotguns?
They're relatively new. I want one just for the fun of it.
Yeah, that's
a fun gun to shoot.
So $6.99. Are they fairly reliable from what you guys have read or heard? I mean, they get 5 stars on 6 reviews, which again, take it with a grain of salt. But $7.19 resale price. Yeah,
it's a Henry. Henry generally does good things. So.
Yeah. So that's a 2.5-inch chamber, blued, 5+1.
I mean, I haven't shot one, but I was handling one at the Great American Outdoor Show. They're really nice balance and everything on them.
7.3 pounds. So that weighs about my My 30-30 weighs 8.5 pounds, but it's got the octagon barrel on it, so it adds like a pound to it, basically. American walnut stock, 20-inch barrel length, 14-inch length of pull, 40.5-inch overall length, blued steel. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't had a chance to shoot one of those yet. Has anybody in our little circles tested one of those? Has Budget Guns and Gear tested one, or anybody else?
He had the axe, which is the cut down version.
Yeah, that's where when Budget was testing the axe version, he was using a single handing it like a pistol, skeet shooting with it, and actually doing fairly decent.
There's a lot of options for you. Got pump action. Oh, here's the Charles Daly. I think the Charles Daly. Now this is basically okay. There's the Midland Backpacker shotgun series of shotguns. They basically look identical to this, except for without this long adjustable stock on the rear. The Midland Backpacker shotguns come in a 12, 20, and 410, and they've got a variety of barrel lengths. And they're about $130. They're cool because they fold it completely in half. So you can drop them into like a duffel bag or a big backpack if you want to just use it for hiking, or if you want just like a compact stowage. There is double-aught buck rounds you can get. Here's a Rossi break open 410 Tuffy model is what it says here. The synthetic stock, hammer fired, which is pretty cool. I don't know what the price is on it because it's all sold out, but 18.5-inch barrel. Another thing too, on some of these, you might not get any kind of choke tube options. It might just be just your cylinder bore. I know on something like maybe this Mossberg 510, you're going to get adjustable choke tubes, but some of them may not. They might just be the bore, and that's all you're going to get. I know on that Midland Backpacker break action shotgun, it doesn't have choke tubes for the 410. They do for the 12 and the 20, but not the 410. Oh, here we go. This is interesting. What do you guys think of this? The ATI doesn't get the best ratings, 3.5 out of 5 stars on 3 reviews. 410 AR pattern shotgun, 18.5-inch barrel.
Sure, it looks like fun. I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily rely on it as a defensive round, defensive gun, because shotguns in that platform, my understanding, can be a bit finicky. But for a range toy or something like that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with G-Webs. No.
5+1 rounds. You're getting a proprietary, again, a toy, something kind of fun to play around with. But honestly, you'd probably be better off going with a nice, reliable semi-automatic 410. Just for the money on these, and this is probably $500. I'm just guessing they're not going to be cheap. Unfortunately, I don't have the price on here. I don't even know what the MSRP is, but just kind of thinking about what the platform would cost, at least $400.
Yeah, and just being an ATI, they don't have the best reputation with their ARs to begin with, and then a 410 shotgun AR. No, thank you.
Here you go, Rich. I found your gun. There you go. The Heiser SG pistol 45 Colt.
That M410 might actually be fun.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And like I said, don't forget we've also got the the judge, the governor, the circuit judge, which is we actually ended up selling the circuit judge because we just didn't do anything with it. And in all honesty, it wasn't the most accurate firearm that we have in our collection. It's chambered for 45 Colts or 410. It was cool, but we just never used it. So we decided to go and move it out and put it towards different. My wife wants a different handgun, so that's why we moved it out of the inventory. But
just as I googled real quick, just the ATI AR shotgun.
Yeah,
and this is Omni Hybrid Max is the website. Comes up at $630.
MSRP, so you're probably looking at $575, $550. Well, maybe not anymore, but
no, that's not MSRP. That's what this website is actually. It's actually a point of sale website. $630.
Okay, I got you. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, you're definitely buying into something. Man, look, hopefully you can get parts for that thing if you buy it, because everything on that does not scream mil spec. Pistol grip, yeah, but that's about it, because you've got a unique upper receiver. Or unique upper, your frame's lower's got all kinds of different parts and pins and stuff coming out of it that you don't find on a mil-spec lower. Magazines are going to be proprietary. Anyway, just kind of showing you some of the fun stuff that's out there. If you want to get into 410, there's going to be something for you. Sue me, I know it's Turkish made, but I did buy a TriStar setter because I'm getting into trap shooting this summer, and so I want to make sure I'm going to enjoy it before I drop the money on a Browning Satori. But you can get a TriStar setter over under for $451. This is pretty high. I got the 12 gauge for like $350 delivered. If you look around, there are better prices out there. I went through like Dahlonega Pawn and Gun, I think is what it's called, and they were like $75 below everybody else. And then I had it delivered to SS Pawn But I know you can get these setters for under $400. But again, the 410s, sometimes they run a little bit higher too because they're a little more of a niche gun. They're not quite in the same production as a 12 or 20. So if you want to get into
Henry.
What's that?
Just trap shoot with the Henry.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, I got trap with the lever 410. I was gonna say all I have is a 30-30. I can't trap shoot with that.
Shot.
Oh yeah, it gotta be a good shot. It gotta be a really good shot. You probably could. I don't think there's anything that says you can't use a lever gun for trap shooting. I mean, it's
My grandfather used to shoot clay pigeons with a bolt action 22. Yeah, he was a good shot.
Yeah.
That's for thing about with the over under 410. That's for, I don't know which ones you've looked. It just came to mind when you were flipping through and I saw the over under. Fiance's uncle actually uses a one that looks real similar to the one you have on the screen there.
Mm-hmm.
He uses it for that's his pheasant gun, and I've handled it, and it's it's balanced to the point of it's really really light in the hand, and it turns super super fast, which is really nice. So that's for. Because I'm not sure which ones you've handled up where you're saying they're super barrel heavy.
This one, the Stoker Condors are much heavier. Yeah, my TriStar setter in 12 gauge is a very light gun, very quick. And I mean, again, it's a Turkish gun. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm not going to freak out on you.
There's not a lot of budget options out there that are American-made shotguns that are over unders. Really, there are not. And my plan is to turn around and get either like a Beretta. I don't know if it's called like the White Dove or something. There's a Beretta that I'm looking at, and also a Browning Satori. But for somebody who just wants to get into it, not everybody wants to drop $1,200 on an over under. So TriStar is an American country. I know I'm mansplaining myself, and they're an American company. So I don't know. I guess you got to pick your battles, but I'd rather give the money to a company that's U.S. based. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there are so many companies out there that source their shotguns from Turkey. And I'm not going to go on a tirade about this. You'd be amazed at the American, like Winchester, Mossberg, Remington. A lot of them source shotguns from Turkey because they're kind of the ring of fire, so to speak, of shotgun production. When it comes to just factories that push out different models, different quality levels, obviously. But sorry, Calaveras, I mean to talk over because I'm sure I'm going to take some heat for admitting I bought a TriStar.
That's like I'm not going to freak out on you for buying. If you want to buy a Turkish gun, hey, that's your money, not mine.
Yeah.
But that's just with the. I think the uncle's shotgun. I want to say his is a Browning. That's right. I think he's a Browning over under guy. So I'm sure he's dropped some serious coin on his. But yeah, it would be one of those that. Then again, I'm not a little guy, but I'm not a big guy. That's for. I could shoulder it, wield it and fire it, without having to use the forward hand. That's right. I could just, shoulder and trigger hand, and that'd be enough to handle his 410. So, I mean, it's definitely not nose heavy.
Yeah. Hey, real quick here, Beretta Man 2A Defender says, well, good show today, everyone, and good info today, but I have to get ready for Father's Day, getting things together. Take care, and thanks for the subs. Until next time. Yeah, and again, guys, make sure you check out Beretta Man 2A Defender's channel. Awesome channel over there on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to him. The links are in the chat for this video, and I'll put a link to his channel down in the description box below after this video post. So do check him out. G-Web says, find those used for much less. There are Russian over-unders imported by Remington. Let's see. What do we have here? Fud Life says there are no over-under shotguns made in the USA that I'm aware of. They are all imported. Yeah, I mean, not something commercial you're just going to find on the shelves. Lots of them remain Turkey, Russia, Finland, Germany. Yeah, so there are other options out there, but for somebody who wants to get into it, and I was trying to cap myself at $500 because I still had to buy ammo and some other supplies to get into skeet shooting. Now, the other thing, too, about 410, you can reload it. So, I mean, I was looking over at Ammo Seek here, and some of the least expensive rounds, there's the Challenger Target Load. That is a number 8 shot, 250 rounds for $75, 30.3 cents a round. 410 you can pay a premium for it. I mean, you'll pay basically double, sometimes triple for a box of, I don't think I'm in boxes of 25, usually double what you pay just over just an entry level box of 12 gauge birdshot. So Marco Dunn says Turkish arms are as reliable as any other compared to the cheap Spanish guns of the 70s. They're much better. Yeah, you read the reviews on a lot of these guns, and some people have genuine issues with them because I'll get these notifications on inexpensive shotguns that'll show up, whether it's at like Bud's Guns or it shows up over at Davidson's, and I'll look at the shotgun. They might be selling like a Charles Daly that's made in Turkey, and you read the reviews on it and it ends up having problems or parts break on it. So I wanted to get something that had a decent warranty, and I think my TriStar has a 5-year warranty on it. And again, TriStar, U.S.-based company. There are American workers that work for TriStar in the U.S. So I don't know. I'm kind of going off on this tangent. I guess if you're looking for a 410 shotgun, there's a chance you're not going to be able to find something that's going to be American-made. There are going to be some pump actions that'll be American-made, obviously, but yeah, so that's something about it. Let's see. Now, again, for the ammunition, we're looking at roughly 30.3 cents a round to get into shooting 410. So it is pricey, especially if you want to practice with it a lot. And there's different grades and different qualities of rounds that you can spend pretty much whatever you want. I'm trying to think. Now, my wife was when we did a turkey hunt, we took her 20 gauge out, and we had a Magnum 20 gauge turkey load that she was shooting with. I think it was a 3-inch shell, if I'm not mistaken. We actually wrapped up the over-under with camouflage tape to get it to blend in with the surroundings when we went out. So it was cool. G-Web says, I don't buy cheap shotguns. Yeah, I know. I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Like I said, my next one, if I really enjoy trap shooting and it's something I really want to get into, then I'm definitely going to get a Satori or a Beretta or something else. I mean, those are definitely Satori's on one of my bucket list guns. So. Fud Life says 410 reloading setups are reasonable, and you can save money loading those as opposed to 12 or 20. Fud Life, you have a new channel. Fud Life, are you a new channel? If I think I know who you are, Fud Life.
It's Clover.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to post, or we'll get a link to your channel out there. I'll put it in the description box. You guys get over and subscribe to Fud Life too. Okay. All right. Anyway, so anything else on the 410? Anything you guys want to share about it? Any thoughts or ideas with it? I've never hunted with 410. Like I said, we've only target practiced with the Rossi circuit judge before. I've got a few 410 shells floating around. But
I've gone with 410 before. A single shot. Used to take some birds with it, like grouse stuff like that at close range.
Yeah, they're fun to play around with. They're a good maybe entry level for a younger person or somebody who's new to shotguns. If you don't want that recoil of a 12 gauge,
Yeah, but they're harder to hit with because of the shot pattern being smaller.
Yeah, definitely.
20 gauge is a better starter shotgun in my opinion for each model.
Yeah, and unless you want one of those combo guns, which would be kind of fun just to kind of keep around, but still. And again, 410, you find it in everything from like the Bond Arms pistols to the judge and the governor and the circuit judge, and then also up there. So
Fud Life is showing off.
What's that?
Now Fud Life is showing off. He's saying he took his first deer with a 410.
Really? Buckshot or slug or what?
I would probably slug because buckshot you're only getting like three of them in there. So
yeah,
probably slug.
Interesting.
Yeah, they make.
It'll work. I'm not going to doubt its hunting application at all. Especially for small game.
Yeah, it's a bolt action with a slug. So yeah,
okay.
They 3.5-inch 410 slugs.
Okay.
Yeah, he said bolt action with slug, and that's where. Hunt smart, limit your range to what the round is capable of. Absolutely. I mean, people, well, that's like what Squib. That's for how far when you took your deer that was with your souped up 44 specials. How far was the shot of that? I would imagine the shotgun would have somewhat similar range to what that a 44 special was.
Yeah, or a 410 3-inch slug, it's going to be more powerful than a 45 long colt. So have a bolt gun.
So. Yeah. Oh yeah. That velocity coming out of there, yeah, you're definitely gonna have a potent round, no doubt. Especially depending on are we talking like the polymer tip? Are we looking at just regular slug? Because there might even be like a Hornady SST round that's chambered in 410. I'm not sure. We have to check and see if they offer that. But again, there's the whole 410 thing. Just because of guns like the Judge and the Governor, there's a whole nother kind of section of ammo that's kind of evolved out of it. The short barrel. I keep saying short barrel, like revolver 410 ammunition. Essentially, it's designed to come out of a shorter barrel. So yeah, you got a lot of options for it. Marco Dunn says, I shot the judge at like 15 feet. Buckshot wouldn't go through 1/4-inch plywood. Yeah, my dad actually carries one, but he keeps it loaded with 45 Colt. Take it or leave it. He's got a shorter barrel version of it too, because there's different barrel lengths you can get on those judge pistols. He likes it, but he doesn't keep the 410 shot in it. Now, we did have pretty good luck with the Circuit Judge, which does have a choke tube in it, by the way, for shot, and then it also has a different choke tube you got to use for 45 Colt. And that
Hornady does have.
What's that?
Yeah, Hornady does make FTX slugs.
Okay, in a 410.
Yep.
Okay. So there you go. If you want to use it for hunting, obviously, Fud Life says you got a deer with it, and that would be a pretty good round.
Yeah, they got a defensive one. It's an FTX slug with 235 caliber lead round balls behind it.
What is that?
They got a FTX slug with 235 caliber round ball behind it.
Okay, let's show this off. So this is 410 triple defense is what Hornady calls it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not mocking it. I'm just saying this is interesting. I didn't even know this existed now.
It's like the ultimate 410 bullet and ball.
So it says delivering effective shot patterns that place all projectiles on a man-sized target at 7 yards. Critical defense 410 features a unique triple defense projectile column consisting of 2 35 caliber round balls topped with 1 non-jacketed FTX slug. There you go.
And there's your 410 buck and ball, folks.
There you go. There's the round. Man, that is that is cool. Oh, wow. So flex tip technology and the FTX slug assists in expansion, delivering enhanced terminal performance. Maybe my old man needs to put this in his pistol, huh? Let's see. It is developed to provide the best performance for defensive or personal protection situations, delivering effective shot patterns that place all projectiles on a man-sized target at 7 yards. Round balls are made of high antimony, cold swaged lead or swagged lead, resist deformation, and provide dependable penetration. So that would be, I would like to see an ammo test on that. That would be really interesting. Box of 20 set up for personal defense. It's under the critical defense line. So 410 triple defense. I like that. That's pretty cool. It just seems like something from like some like ancient design or something. I don't know. It just seems like an old school idea.
An old school buck and ball. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Buck and ball. That's true. And I know with Marco saying the 15 feet, really, I think the design intent for those is not even across a room. It's more belly gun. It's the get off me gun type thing. It's, arm's length, maybe just a touch more type thing. So probably inside of 5 feet. It's really more, I think, what that pistol design was really intended for.
I'm going to see if I can find some of this Hornady. Let's see here.
Yeah, Midway's out of stock on it. Bass Pro, I think, was out of stock on it. But it's around $18 a box.
So there's critical defense, $16.99. I don't know if that's the triple defense or not, but that might just be the regular slug round. Now, here's the thing, though. So, Calaveras, we were saying, what did we say, 15 feet? Is that 21 feet, basically 7 yards?
That's true. Yes, 7 yards is 21 feet. That's true. I'm just quoting Marco when he said 15 feet and it wouldn't go through plywood.
Yeah, no, this round, I would imagine that triple defense is probably going to do a pretty good job because Hornady, they don't make crap ammunition, in my opinion, and it's nothing to do with me wearing their hat. I mean, for the most part, they tend to deliver what I've tested and what I've seen. Now, and again, I'm not saying you should put your law on the law of averages, but what is the average self-defense shooting distance? Do we have any kind of statistics on that? Is there a pretty good chance that it would be within 15 feet for the average person? It could be any distance, right? But, if you're in a situation,
I want to say, the statistics say 7 yards, so 21 feet.
Okay.
And that's why, there's a lot of argument about if you were to actually shoot at someone in a quote-unquote defensive situation beyond that, it starts becoming more difficult to prove defense unless they are armed with a ranged weapon as well.
Or you have no route of escape. You have no door you can walk out of. You have no alternate route. You're in your bedroom. You can see somebody coming at you at the end of the hallway. There's nowhere to go. And
I'm not saying it's impossible. Yeah. I'm just saying that's for just kind of based on average, based on what has been seen and what I've heard of. Yeah, I mean, that's true. If you're cornered, then you're cornered. That's a different scenario. But just kind of as your base, I think, you know, a defensive situation beyond that range, you're going to have to then, you know, you're going to have to prove that, you know, you couldn't get away because they say, you know, within that distance, then you got, that's your decision distance. And then you have, you know, you can do something else, you know, potentially.
Kind of situation. Floodlife says 7 yards is the old study. Newest studies average more around 3 yards. So I'm just saying, if you do have a governor or a judge pistol, maybe consider keeping that triple defense round. If you're looking at something like a home defense situation for yourself or a vehicle, you know, maybe you just need something as a up close and personal, close encounter defensive tool. I mean, obviously it's hard to beat a good, you know, handgun. But depending on what you're running, at least that option is out there. It's neat that the industry is adapting to that kind of a demand because, love it or hate it, I mean, the judge pistols are popular and they do sell. They're still in production. So obviously, you know, that says something. So there's a lot of different options out there for 410. I did not know. I learned so much this week. This is crazy. I learned about the Carcano. I learned about the 410 and the different options that are out there for it. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So on that note, we're sitting at 9:30, and I need to get ready because I'm taking the old man out for lunch for Father's Day, and I got a little bit of road trip ahead of me. So we're going to go ahead and call it, guys. I want to thank everybody that joined in on the panel today. We'll let you guys have your outros. Special thanks to Pat Hirsch that was here. He had something that came up, so he had to jet. But let's go and close this one out. So Squibload, we'll start off with you. Anything you want to say before we go?
I'd like to thank you for doing the second half of the show in 410 because I didn't know jack about it, so I could step away.
Hey, it's kind of fun.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, made myself some breakfast.
Hey, all right, there you go. Yeah.
I guess just a shout out for Rick's Life as I see it at 3 p.m. Eastern, the only time zone that matters today. Check out his show. And once again, check out the Arizona Ghost Riders tonight if you can, or on replay later. I appreciate the invite, and I really enjoyed talking about milsurps. So maybe we'll have some more in the future. Maybe.
Yeah, I need to look and see what other, we haven't really discussed the Arisaka rifles yet. We can look and see what else is out there. But the Carcano was something that I really enjoyed learning about it and just seeing how it adapted designs from other rifles and how it was used and good or bad, how it actually came to be. I took 3 pages of notes on the Carcano yesterday, man. I feel like I'm back in school.
Wow, look at that.
Well, okay, so I got this page right here. Yeah, we got that page right there. I mean, look at all that. We covered all this stuff in the discussion. And then, so 2.5. I'm short. I'm going to get docked a letter grade on that one, but still.
See, while you were talking about it, you should have been reading through your copy, like an anchor on the news or whatever, right?
Have my teleprompter coming up in front of the screen. The Carcano rifle was something that was I need a teleprompter sometimes, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we basically covered all the stuff that I had written down on. I was just taking notes on it because I didn't know anything about it in the first place, which makes it kind of fun. So, all right. So anyway, Squib, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate having you here. It's always good to have you join us. And we should be back next Saturday, too. I don't think I have anything going on. So also joining us, Calaveras 32 Special. Thanks for being here, buddy. You ready to go back to sleep or what?
No, I'm actually, ready to, 2 cups of coffee in. I'm ready to get my day started. Cool. I appreciate the invite. And, a shameless plug again for myself. That's for if anyone's interested in joining the next round of Pass the Mag, email me at Calaveras at 32 Special, just as it's what you see on the screen, but it's all one word, at gmail.com. And I can get you some more information. Again, Travis, thank you for the invite. And yeah.
We're all getting our shameless plugs out there right now. No problem, man. I'm glad you're here and you're always welcome to come back in the future. So I'm going to put a plug to my B channel down while I'm at it. So if you're into coffee and computers, go click on that link. And that's kind of more technology centered. There's really nothing firearms related on that channel. It's a lot of fun. I just enjoyed it. If I'm going to drink coffee, I might as well tell you about it and try to make you all caffeine addicts. So speaking of coffee, Calaveras, what was your coffee of choice this morning? What did you have?
Black Rifle, and this one was Silencer Smooth.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, let me weasel in there then. I'm having Arbuckle's Mexicali.
Yeah. Is that the what do you call it again? The pine. What was the pine nut one that you talked about?
Oh, I got to say it right, or else somebody will say it's not pinion, it's pignon, like canyon or something.
Pignon. I don't know. I think is it pinon? Is it pinon? Because I can't remember if there's an accent mark over the O.
There isn't a yeah.
It'd be pignon.
Cuidado, acento.
There you go. Yeah, accento. Let's see. Marco Dunn says Gavalia. Gavalia, it's funny. Gavalia is was one of those gateway drug coffees that got me hooked on coffee. I had an uncle that when we'd spend time at him and my aunt's house, he would always have Gavalia and he would have it delivered. And they sent you a coffee maker. And then my grandma got on that kick, and then she would get Gavalia coffee delivered too. They make Gavalia. They still make it in the bags, and they still make it in K-cups and stuff. And I think they probably still have the subscription program set up. Good stuff, man. I've never reviewed that before. I think I need to do that. I need to go get some of the Gavalia K-cups. Marco says dark roast Gavalia. Yeah, the K-cups are really good too. That's one of those coffees that, because it was like $8, I think, a month for like 2 half-pound bags of coffee, and you could choose the varieties and stuff, and that definitely got me going. So, all right. And Rich White, anything you would say before we go?
Yeah, I'm drinking an Arnold Palmer. I don't have coffee.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. A little sweet tea going on this morning.
No, it's like Sesame Street. We got 4 boxes. 3 people are doing the same thing. One's doing
one of these things isn't like the other. We should all be sitting there drinking coffee. You've got your Arnold Palmer going on. Now, is it pre-mix Arnold Palmer, or do you do it yourself? Do you do this?
No, it's actual sweet tea mixed with lemonade.
But it's your own concoction, right? It's not something you went and bought at the store. Okay.
No, it's homemade.
Because they make Arnold Palmer in a can that actually has
Arizona
on the can. So yeah,
Arizona. Yeah,
I like to try that.
By his estate to have his photo on it.
That's one thing Nebraska is definitely lacking. Nebraska is not a sweet tea state. If people do sweet tea and it's sacrilegious, they mix sugar in with cold tea, which is why I never liked it as a kid, because it was horrible. That's a whole different category of people that drink that kind of sweet tea. I like, good old Southern style sweet tea where you boil it up in the water, the sugar, and you let it steep. Mm. That's what made me a fan of it. Or just like the McDonald's sweet tea is what got me hooked on sweet tea in the first place. I didn't start drinking it until about a year ago. I actually did a video on my first interaction with sweet tea, which was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember that.
Sitting there like, here we go, guys. It tastes like liquid.
You need to drink some sweet tea, man. You need to try it.
It was Outlaw Hatfield. He's like, man, what's wrong with you people? And he gave me the recipe for how to make good sweet tea and stuff. And you don't get that in Nebraska. If you say you want sweet tea, if it's not from McDonald's, they will literally they'll give you sugar packets for a glass of iced tea, which is awful. And we also grew up drinking Nestea instant tea. Nescafe or Nestle instant tea. So I didn't know good sun tea until like later on in life. That's terrible, man. My life is halfway over, and I'm just now discovering the deliciousness that sweet tea has to offer. So, Midnight Rage says, "What is this iced tea chat or Caliber Corner?" Midnight Rage, if you're just joining in, we've been talking guns for the last 90 minutes. We've just spent the last 6 minutes and 31 seconds talking about coffee and tea. And since I got a B channel that focuses on coffee, why not, right?
We expect.
What's that?
Is Caliber Corner too early of a show to be cracking open a beer?
That's your own choice. I mean, some people, won't drink before noon. Some people, that's their breakfast. Beer is nutritious. It does have some side effects, obviously, but there's nothing, nutritious about it. So
maybe next weekend I'll have to do that. That's right. Yeah, because next week I'm out of town. Never mind. But yeah, that's for to me. It's noon somewhere in the world.
Exactly. Midnight Range says he had sweet tea a year ago, and now he doesn't have to worry about brushing his teeth anymore because they're not in his head. I still got my teeth. I don't drink it all the time. I tend to drink sweet tea more often when I'm down south because they actually know how to make it, whereas in Nebraska we have no idea. So liquor ball sandwiches for breakfast might be a bit much.
Look at the beer over some Cheerios, you'll be fine.
Yep, exactly.
Revenge of the Nerd style, yeah.
Let's see, Arbuckle's Mexicali. That's what Squibload was talking about. Make sure you guys check it out. Some of the Flying J's have fresh ground now. That's decent. William Trader says, yeah, we got the Flying J truck stops between Lincoln and Omaha. I think there's one out there. There's some really good ones out there. What was it? Pilot? Squibload, was it Pilot truck stop coffee that you... Was it Pilot? What was a gas station coffee that you did a while ago, Squib?
Yeah, I believe
Pilot?
It was Pilot.
Okay.
Where they sold me the expired coffee. Yeah. And I tried to, was it Love's? I think I went to a Love's later to try to get their coffee, and they didn't sell it. And the person at the register was like, well, our manager has sold it to people before. There's a way she can do it, but she's off today. So if you want to come back another day, I'm sure and it's like, lady, you're 100 miles away. I'm not.
Here's the thing, like gas station coffee, it can be good, but how often have you really said, God, I love this so much, I want to take a package of this home with me to brew? I mean, that's why it's always expired whenever you find it in the truck stops and gas stations. You're like, and they sell it for like $1 a bag.
Yeah.
It's stuff they throw in their filters, you know.
Just the Speedway coffee. The Speedway coffee that I get every Sunday.
Yeah, Speedway's awesome.
Yeah, but I thought I would try to do my plan was to do a comparison, 2 different truck stop coffees. Instead, I just ended up doing the one. But yeah, you know, somebody had made a comment. I can't remember if it was on that video or another one about maybe it's the kind of water they use or something else. But because I had said that it tastes better at the truck stop or at the gas station than it does at home. So, I mean, I'm sure there's more factors. You know more about this stuff. You're the coffee guy.
It's marinades in those giant hoppers all day. They're nice and seasoned, you know, and their proportion is always, you know, not necessarily consistent. But you might, at that point, you might be so desperate for a cup of coffee that anything tastes good when you're on the road. You're like, oh,
that's for,
this is so good. This is so good.
I may lose subs over this, but Flying J, you know what, brew superior to anything Starbucks sells.
There's a lot of stuff that's superior to anything Starbucks sells. One of my biggest disappointments with Starbucks is when they went with the Pike Place roast as their brew that they do all day, because a lot of the Starbucks will only carry a couple different varieties up until noon, and then afternoon they do the Pike Place roast, which I'm going to be honest with you, Pike Place roast tastes like an ashtray. Okay, I only get it when I'm desperate for coffee, or I'll ask them to do a pour over with a different variety. But I just try not to stop there in general. I try to stop at a gas station or a little mom and pop local coffee shop when I'm on the highway, and there's places that I go to that do that.
Yeah. McDonald's and Burger King coffee is better than Starbucks.
Oh God, McDonald's coffee. I know this is terrible. McDonald's coffee is great, and Burger King coffee is great. I know that's terrible to say, but it's good in my opinion. I mean, if it's not burn tasting or anything like that. So
that's where I have to agree on that. Both those fast food joints are better than Starbucks.
And there are some things that Starbucks makes that I do like I like a cafe mocha or just like an espresso. But again, I try not to. I try to go out and get out of the realm.
Did you ever go to the Books A Million, their little coffee shop that they have in them? They have decent coffee there.
No, Books A Million, you said?
Yeah, it's a bookshop. Yeah, bookshop, and they have a coffee shop in it. Books A Million. So it's some of their stores, not all of them. Like the ones in the mall generally don't, but when they have one of their other locations that are outside of the mall, like in a strip shopping center, they'll have like a little coffee shop in there. They'll sell like sausage links and stuff, like brats and stuff like that. And,
oh, cool. No, I've never heard of that chain before. Yeah. Cool. There's some comments coming out there. Starbucks is overrated. Starbucks is nasty. Defense Dad says Aldi has some good coffee. Yeah, the Aldi K-Cups are decent, and they make a bag version of it also. Aldi, whatever their brand of coffees that they sell in Aldi, because they have their own store brand. They also carry like Cafe Bustelo and a generic version of Bustelo and stuff like that, but they're pretty good. Yeah, they're Trader Joe's generic store, more or less. Yeah, I think Aldi and Trader Joe's, they cross-list a lot of their products, but just different packaging. So, all right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and call it. So let's see who was joining us this morning. We had a little Marco Dunn out there, Kinky Sphincter, Midnight Range TM, G23, Defense Dad's in the house. Let's see what G Webs is out there. Calaveras 32 Special. Yesterday's Pomade joined in. Sweet tea is best served down the nearest drain, he says. What else? Who else is out there? William Trader joined in today. Fud Life joined in. Make sure you guys check out Fud Life's channel. Get over there and subscribe. Let's get his sub count up for him. Ozzy Orsborn joined in today. Again, G Webs Review joined in. Says Dickinson shotguns have a lifetime warranty. Okay, good to know. I saw some Scott P79 earlier. Beretta Man 2A Defender in the house. He had to bug out, which is cool because he's got a good channel. So make sure you guys check it out. Again, Scott P79, William Keller. Patriot the Jark joined us today too. And that's pretty much where my comments stop. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us for Caliber Corner episode number 141, if I'm not mistaken, where we talked about the Carcano rifles. We talked about the 410 shot shells. We made recommendations for sweet tea and coffee because you never know what you're going to get on this channel, right? And the Juice says, Lord knows that's right. All right. So thanks for joining us today, guys. Make sure you check out my channel, Travis P11. We'll continue doing Caliber Corner Monday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time. It's always great having you here. Thanks for joining us. I want you guys to have fun, be safe, and as you know, we will talk to you soon. Have a good one, guys. Have a great weekend. Oh, and happy Father's Day to everybody out there that's a dad. All right? Take care.
Bye, Alicia.